Hello, fellow kind of critics. Jay here. Gonna talk about Night School, but before we talk about that movie, we need to talk about the existence of Night School in terms of comedy movies, as well as its main star, Kevin Hart. Let's start with Hart, who has nothing but shown how comedians are able to propel themselves into this stardom through some of his most memorable routines and touted a personality that has seen mixed reception in films. Particularly, he served in supporting roles in the early 2000s in Scary Movies 3 and 4, The 40-Year-Old Virgin, Death at a Funeral, and Grudge Match. Many would point out that his comedy specials that would release in theaters following 2012 and 2013 only elevated his value to producers and directors and would mark his lead role major box office success. Right along. Next thing you know, we get movies like The Wedding Ringer, Get Hard, Ride Along 2, and Central Intelligence. These movies, of course, have varying degrees of either making Hart look unfunny when paired with a lousy script and boring premise, or partnering him with more experienced actors and comedians that have made him a complimentary part of an overall cast. And to be honest, I found him so much more funny in shorter dosages throughout a film. No pun intended. This is why films like Top 5, Jumanji 2, About Last Night are able to really bring relatable and spastic humor and characterizations that Hart has really honestly been known for. I mean, they may seem one note to, many critics and fans alike, especially when you realize he has more than one movie coming out in a single year, and you definitely get that Hart fatigue. But I feel like he's less of an Adam Sandler and more like a Jeff Dunham or Dave Cook, comedians that have a strong and dedicated fan base, but a sense of uncertainty of when everyone will actually grow bored of him, in which he would then eventually become this older relic of comedians that have been able to make a character, sense of mannerisms, become a staple or inspiration for aspiring comedians that will either piss off a lot of people or create some new ones or new stars. With that being said, though, comedies have seen a different tune in the last few years, and yet I hope the trends of oddball and weird premises like Sorry to Bother You become the standard for these types of comedies and bring new ideas to the forefront. Sure, we probably will always get Tyler Perry films that use comedy to the hundredth degree and really remove the movie aspect, which ends up becoming these negative connotations but positive cash flow for those greedy producers. Like the cheap horror movies made out of $10 million, so too can be said about comedy films, which get the benefit of using improv into a baseline script, create unsophisticated slapstick humor or toilet jokes for several scenes, and use one really creative or funny joke and ride it to the goddamn ground. But Jay, you might say. Oh, sorry, I got something in my throat. Oh. But Jay, you might say, why don't they just make a solid script and bring the comedic talents together in a fully narrative-driven, thematic-focused movie to please critics and filmgoers? That's easy, because taking risks and losing money is not good for a production company, and the target demographic for these movies usually just want to get time off and enjoy a film that is easygoing and can make you laugh. There's no problem with that. I never want to criticize an audience for letting them know you're stupid for watching this movie. You're stupid for giving this money to this production company. You're stupid because you like a movie that I don't like. Last thing off my mind. I mean, a joke every single minute with actors doing wacky things and going through the trends of today. If that's your thing, so be it. But with that being said, now that we've gone through this brief understanding, you can see where I'm going with Night School. Kevin Hart may not be one of the funniest ones throughout this entire film. In fact, he's overshadowed so much by his supporting cast that really dedicated every scene with Kevin Hart as the punchline in order to keep him on screen. This means we either get him made fun of for A, being dumb, B, being very irritable, C, being short, or D, being more dumb. That's his character. Plot threads go unheard of till later in the film with no payoff, or nobody really cared. There are no big character moments from the rest of the cast. The use of Tiffany Haddish were to either make her say booty how, or very enjoyable character that is barely in the entire movie except for one scene, which is kind of weird considering the poster has Kevin Hart and Tiffany Haddish on the same poster. But to be honest, she's had at least half an hour in this, so all those Tiffany Haddish fans, get ready to be disappointed. And the pacing comes to a dead halt in every scene where everyone is in a room with just jokes and zero plot to it at all. The action or set pieces never go beyond their minor absurdity, and when they do, feel really extremely out of place. Like Fist Fight, making fun of the education system or what it means to be educated feel present and ripe for the picking. I mean, I live in Chicago, so you tell me how the school education system kind of sucks at this point. But it just never really meant anything until the last half of the movie. The setting is in a school, and yet not much learning seems to feel like happening. Yet through the slog of it all, I really did find the jokes hilarious, along with Rob Riggle, Taron Killam, Romany Malco, and Al Madrigal. Madrigal, sorry. In a way, it almost felt very endearing and created a cobbled up story that I feel will probably inspire people to maybe get their GED or continue to pursue their life and find a job. I mean, I hope that's what this movie ends up being to them, because I'm sure that speaks to a lot of people who may be watching this form of escapism. Under a better production, I'm sure this would have made hell of a film. But what we have here is just cannon fodder for laughs and feel-good moments. I mean, I'm not here to squash people's fun, because Night School was fun for me, just not the kind of theater experience that I would want to enjoy, and more of a film I'd watch at home. But it's entertainment that is both lazy and enjoyable, and still somehow feels inoffensive. But of course, to me, it missed a lot of potential of being something more than what it needed to be, especially with the cast it had. And not to mention, I think Kevin Hart does deserve better, and I think he is a couple of mediocre movies away from being irrelevant. And that's a shame, considering he just needs one good movie, one punch-drunk love, to really make him more than just a one-note, short, spastic, angry little man that he always seems to be in these movies. But with that being said, 3 stars. 3 stars out of 6, guys. If you end up going to see this movie, I don't blame you. I mean, it is already top number 1 in the box office, so what does my opinion matter? But, if you're looking to have some fun, go have that fun. Me, I could have just enjoyed this sitting on my couch, and I would have had a little bit more fun, knowing I didn't have to drag myself in a theater, hearing people talk over a movie, laughing. But you can tell that this is definitely an entertaining film that a lot of people will end up enjoying and feeling relatable. And who knows, I'm sure Kevin Hart's not going to die out anytime soon, especially with Ride Along 3 coming out maybe a year.